Okay, so today I'm going to be showing you some of my artwork that I've done from the previous 2 years, and these are all going to be paintings that I've done. I've got them here in this big, huge folder thing here, and so I'm going to go ahead and open this up and show everybody what I have inside. And so let's go ahead and take a look at this. First, I've got to get these all opened up and taken out first. So the first painting that I've got here is with acrylic paint, and well, it's actually watercolor, but with a little bit of acrylic in it. I added the acrylic over it, which is the white areas of this painting, and as you can see here, everything's kind of mixed together, and it's all going at the same angle in the painting. And I used the acrylic to make the white areas of the painting, and also to make the little stars everywhere. And to make the stars, what I do is I have a paintbrush, and I hold a piece of wood underneath with this hand, and I'll hit the piece of wood with the watercolor brush. It has a little bit of acrylic paint on it, or a lot of times I'll even use a acrylic paintbrush, and I'll just hit that over the piece of wood so that as it's hitting it, it sprays out little tiny speckles of white dots everywhere, and that's how I make the stars. I did this one about 6 months ago, maybe, not that long ago. All these have been done the past 2 years. So that's the first one I have there. And the second one we have here, this is a watercolor painting, and I did this one about a year ago, and it took me an entire day to do this one because I was using my watercolor brushes. They're really good for getting like little tiny details, and with the watercolor brushes, they have water in them already, so I can adjust how much water I'm getting rather than dipping it into the paint over and over again with the water. And so that's how I made this here, and it's more of just an abstract painting, and to me it kind of looks like some kind of space nebula or something like that. And yeah, I had fun making this one too. Lots of colors in it. Usually don't add that many colors in my paintings, but I was experimenting this time. And the next one is a big dragon with like mountains and stuff in it, as you can see here. Little mountains. I have some kind of ruins over here, and there's like an ocean, then there's lightning, more mountains and a landscape, and there's like volcano and lightning and all that. I've always preferred doing abstract painting more than realistic stuff. Same with my drawing. I've always preferred doodling or just creating abstract art. So I do think I need to improve on my painting skills quite a bit, but I'm getting there. And the next one I did, actually this one's a bit older. I stand corrected. I have paintings from 3 years ago. So this is a space theme painting that I did. Same technique as I told you about with the watercolor or acrylic brush with the acrylic paint. And I do that for all of my space themed paintings. And it's a lot faster than trying to do every single little dot with a paintbrush. But another space theme, blue, a little bit of orange going across it, middle of the sky. And to me it kind of looks like you're looking at a galaxy from the side here. And that's the angle of it. And there's that one. And the next one was one of my first watercolor paintings I did that was, I think it was pretty good for first time doing a watercolor landscape. And this is a scene that I painted where you're looking out at the ocean from the beach, and there's mountains on the side. And this, I can't remember if I painted this as a sunset or a sunrise. I think this looks more like a sunset. But you've got the sun in the background, a little bit of light coming through the clouds, and then you have here the mountains and everything like that in the background, or land. And then you have here the water, the ocean, a little bit of waves crashing in there. And That does look like a lightning there, but I didn't intend for it to look like that. I think that was just because of the watercolor. But I guess that could be if you looked at it that way. But this is part of my series. I have 2 other ones that have the same color scheme, and I did all of these within a span of, it was actually the same day. I have them dated right here, the January 9th of 17. So this was done about 2 years ago. And then I have here another one done the same day, another landscape. Got a little tree, birds, mountains in the background, and this is a big river coming through with clouds and everything. And here's like the shore of it, and then the sun's in the background back there, just barely coming through the clouds. I guess this scene could probably be part of this one, the other one that I have. I mean, you'd connected them together maybe. Not quite, but in the same area. But yeah, this is the second one in that series, and I did have another one I did, but it was a few days later. And so tell me which one of these you prefer the most as I'm going through these. If you see one that you like, or one that you'd like me to paint again in that style and with those colors, go ahead and let me know, and I can go ahead and do that. Now let's move on to the next one. This is another scene of trees and everything. Now in this one here, I was trying to make it look like there was the light was casting shadows and everything behind the trees so that you could see it. And you've got a background here, another river running through it. Like I said, it looks pretty similar to the other one. Probably the same area. And then we've got little rocks over here. Got a bird here, and right here, this little tiny man here fishing. And you've got more small birds in the background. You got the clouds, the mountains, this dead tree right here, and these trees with the light coming through it behind there. And to do that, all I did was, once I had the ground and the grass paint and everything, I took the acrylic paintbrush with a little bit of water on it, and I just dragged it across, so it smeared that. And the way I got that look, as well as I had, first I put down the orange paint, was dried, made sure it was completely dry, and then after that was completely dry, I went over it with the red and the other colors. And then that's when I wetted an acrylic brush and ran it across it. It moved and smeared the colors that was in the top layers, but the driest part, which was the orange underneath, showed through, so it gave this effect as if there was sunlight coming through the trees. And that was the look that I was trying to get, and it worked out. And we're going to move to the next one. This is another landscape theme, similar to the other 3 that I have there. And tree, mountain, little rocks here, some grass. Have it dated January 13th, 2017. And I have here the sun in the background shining through all the clouds. And then I have more birds, some water and everything running through here. This is a larger scale, whereas the other ones is you didn't have as much landscape, it was more detailed. Whereas this has more landscape, but it's not quite as detailed as the other ones. So this is a larger area, it looks like to me. And then you've got little birds there, more clouds. And the white areas, like I said, I'm using acrylic paint. I usually do those areas last after I've done everything. Just show it, it really stands out and really pops from the picture the best. As you can see, I did that here with the rocks and all the grass too. And this one I was kind of disappointed about, because I tried to paint only with acrylic and I was like, yeah, this did not turn out as well as I expected, but oh well. But this is an octopus that I painted with acrylic and used red and orange, and I wanted a little bit of a I wanted the painting to stand out more, so I added a bit of a teal, like seafoam green behind it where the octopus is. So it kind of looks like it's underwater, but yeah. This one took me maybe 2 hours to do, because I had to keep redoing it over and over because I couldn't quite get the paint how I wanted. Because with acrylic, it dries really fast, and so I was having trouble working on the painting because I couldn't rework the paint and I was used to doing that with the watercolor paint, and so it made things a bit difficult as I was going through with the painting. But I can always improve, and I feel like I am improving with acrylic, although my favorite would probably be doing watercolor. I have done a little bit of oil painting, but very little practice, with not much. The next one is an abstract theme, and in this one there's a man. It's supposed to be a representation of how I was feeling at that moment. It's just a very faint silhouette of a person, and then you've got like a hand here, but not completely sure how to describe it, but it looks like someone's in a huge rainstorm or something. That, or they're running. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I've thought about it, and I don't even really know exactly what I was thinking or feeling at the moment when I painted this. But yeah, I used a lot more acrylic paint in this one. I used the acrylic paint in the yellow and white areas, and a little bit of the red. I mixed it all in there. As you can see in a lot of my paintings, I mixed the acrylic and the watercolor to give different looks. And I always use the acrylic last. I use the watercolor as a wash to color everything, and then for the fine details at the very end, I go in with the acrylic paint. And the next one, to me, looks like a view of a cookie. You know those cookies you get in holidays, with sprinkles on it and everything? That's kind of what this looks like to me, but it's a space theme, and I used the same technique that I told you about with the watercolor brush or the acrylic brush with the acrylic paint, and that's how I've done all of these with little stars, because like I said, if you were to make a little star with every single time that you need to make a star with the paintbrush, it would take me 10 hours to do all these, so it's way faster. But this is another space theme. Lots of stuff going on in that one. Lots of stars. And the next one's kind of a space theme, but a lot more abstract than the other ones that I've done. And green, yellow, orange, a little bit of red and blue. Not sure where I was going with this, but it kind of looks like something underwater, but at the same time it's a space theme. But yeah, really abstract, and lots of little stars everywhere. And the next one here, another space theme, and this is supposed to be like a space nebula. It's the ones that look like giant clouds or like huge pillars and stuff, and that's what I did with this one here. I made the background all black with black paint, and then I went in after that, added the colors, and then as I put the paint on it, I tilted the paper forward some, and then it let the paint run down, and then the colors mixed, and that's how I got the look of everything, with the paint running down and all the stars and everything in there. Lots of oranges and a little bit of color in the middle. It kind of looks like if you were to take a blowtorch and put it on a piece of metal, how it gives the metal all these different colors when it heats up. It's kind of how this looks here in some of the areas, but that was fun too. And the next one is a bit older. I think this one's like 3 years old. This was before I gained much experience with painting or with watercolor painting. This is probably when I first began even doing any painting a few years back. This one might be 4 years old, maybe 3 or 4 maybe. This is a bit of an older one, and it's one of the first times I was experimenting with painting, and one of the first times I used watercolor. And I tried making all the little stars with the acrylic paintbrush, and it was just taking forever. So then I thought to myself, why don't I just try this? And I was hitting the paintbrush on my hand like this to make all the little stars. And as you can see, I've got little spots to where it's a really darker area, like the blue, the black, the blue here, the black there, the blue and the black. That was because the paper wrinkled a little bit. It's not that thick of paper, and so it wrinkled some, and the water just pulled up and stayed in that area. But I guess it gives a bit of an interesting look to it, and turned out a little bit better than I thought it would for one of the first times doing it. And this one here is another abstract painting, and it's supposed to be some kind of space theme again. And I just kind of went, it's a very hectic, chaotic looking painting. Just lots of colors and swirls of stuff going all over the place. And like I've said before, I like a lot of movement in my art, especially my drawings as well. I want the look of something that, to where it looks like things are moving and going places, really active and everything. So that's the look I was going for in this. And this was done with mostly acrylic, but I did use a little bit of watercolor in it. And I just took the brush and went across it in different directions really fast, and that's how I got the look with this. I used watercolor for the first few washes, first few layers of color, and then went over it with the acrylic. Once it was mostly dried, I would smear the paint and move it around, and then for the final details I would use the white acrylic paint with an acrylic paintbrush, because when you use the watercolor paintbrushes, the bristles aren't as firm, so you can't really get as good of details as you can with an acrylic brush, because the acrylic brush, the bristles are a lot more firm than the watercolor, so you can really get in there and get little details and stuff like I did here with the white paint. So this one took me about maybe an hour and a half to paint. None of these have taken more than 2 hours. All of them range between 45 minutes to hour and a half on average. And this is my most recent one I've done. I have a video of me painting this, and I did this maybe 2 or 3 months ago. And I'll leave a link in the video so you can watch this if you'd like to see me painting this. But I did this one about 2 or 3 months ago. I can't remember if it goes this direction. Yeah, it goes this way. I had it upside down. Yeah, it goes that way. And it took me about maybe an hour to paint this one as well. Mostly watercolor, and at the end, like I said, I used the white acrylic paint here to get into the little details. And this is supposed to be a space theme as well, but I wanted to add a little bit more color to it and more contrast in it than my other ones. And so I used the watercolor to get the red, blue, and purple and yellow areas. So when I went with the watercolor, I would add in like this blue area, the orange area, and all this. But before I did all of that, I did most of the entire painting as covered in like a reddish pink, and then I went in over that and layered it with blue, orange, yellow, a little bit of red and purple. And then after that, I went in with the black paint, added the clouds and everything. Then after that, I took the brush as things were starting to dry a little bit, and I would add colors such as the yellow and I would drag it across. I would mix the colors with the other ones, and then I went in with the acrylic brush at the end, and I took that and I had all the little details and the clouds are, and where all the, this lightning here looks like lightning going through the clouds, and there's a little bit more there and some over here. And yeah, that's how I did that with the acrylic paint. Most of my paintings always start out with watercolor, finish the details with acrylic, and had fun making this. I do need to start doing more paintings. I need to practice a bit more. I find it fun, although I don't think I'm that skilled at it as I am with my drawing with ink and pens and doodling. But I find it fun sometimes just break the habit of doing the same thing over and over and just explore my creativity a bit more and have some fun. But yeah, I had fun doing all these paintings, and go ahead and tell me which one you liked the most, and let me know in the comments below if there's something that you would like me to paint, or maybe something you'd like me to draw even, although I've done lots of drawings. But go ahead and let me know what type of painting you'd like me to do, what colors you'd like me to use, if you want me to do a space theme or a landscape, which is my preferred painting styles that I like to do. Go ahead and let me know about that, and I'll start a painting on it. And until then, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions or anything, go ahead and comment below and let me know, and you have a good day. I'll see you.